Alright, this is going to be the first tie-dye video since at least 6 to 8 months that I've made, so we'll see how this goes. The shirt, as always, is 100% cotton, and it's been soaked in soda ash for at least 30 minutes and then spun in the washing machine until it's just damp. The shirt's already been turned inside out, but I haven't done the fold, and there is a video available to see that whole folding in detail. So let's go ahead and mark this. I marked it and then realized I didn't have the shirt inside out, so let's see if I can see that well enough. There we go. To do it without remarking it. Alright. What would really be bad is if I forgot how to flip the shirts inside out. Let's see. It's not bad. Alright. So this video isn't so much about the pattern as it is about how damp the shirt is versus what the dye looks like in the finished product. So what I'm going to do, and I thought through this and I think this is the best option, is we're going to go ahead and fold this up, and I think it's a different pattern than I've used before, so it's kind of testing a different pattern idea too. And we're going to leave part of it just damp. We're going to dry a section of it as much as we can with the heat gun, and then spray the other section down with soda ash until it's just sopping wet. Well, a little less than that. And then we'll go ahead and do it and see what the results are so that you can see the differences. Not sure what this little extra piece is here. We'll just go ahead and cut that off. Somebody got carried away at the factory. Alright, so the idea I had for this was more of a waving, wandering line. I don't have any specifics. And I'm probably not even going to follow the line, but it gives you an idea. That so that the inside is slightly different. Inside center, sorry. All those words that I normally use while doing this are gone. Alright, so let's do this. We're just going to follow this as an accordion. Like I said, it's not a big deal if you don't follow it. This really is more of a haphazard design idea. I'll fold it there. Now I am using sinew instead of rubber bands on this, but I guess I normally do use sinew. But I'm not pulling it super tight this time. I'm saying that, and then it's probably going to accidentally slip and it's going to be really tight or something. There we go. It's tighter than it would be with a rubber band, but not horribly tight. I pull this and just kind of tidy up the rest of this accordion. And since I went back and forth, I've got pieces like that, folds like that. So I'm just going to basically leave them where they fall. Now I wasn't sure if I was going to keep part of it this wet, like going horizontally or vertically. Vertically I don't think it's going to be possible with this design. So let's see. Ruler still here. I'm going to go ahead and go, I don't know, let's go 3 inches or so. I'll go ahead and tie all this. Like I said, I'm not super concerned about it being really tight or anything. So I think I really shouldn't just do 2. Let's go ahead and do 3, just to be sure. Alright, and then I've got this last bit here. Just fold those in. And then I'm actually going to pull this down here. And this one isn't going to be tight. This is solely here to keep that together, or else it'll fall apart pretty easy. I normally don't tie anything with the sinew like this, but it's loose and that's the only way to keep it there. Alright, so I'm actually going to do the same here. I think I'm just going to, let's see, take a rubber band just to keep that together. Alright, so each of these sections, this part right here will not be dyed. And I've been debating whether or not to have this as the dry and this is the wet, or the opposite. And I think I'm going to go ahead and let this be the dry side, since this is white. And we'll just see what happens there. So let me grab something and we'll go ahead and make the rest of this happen. Alright, we've got a heat gun and some aluminum foil. I'll go ahead and mask off this wet section here. Arguably you could dry this as well. Results would be, you'll see what the difference will be. Easier to see it than to explain it sometimes. Alright, hold that over. Alright, now I'm just going to dry this section, and here goes. Okay. Yeah, I scorched that a little. Oops. But that is pretty much dry. So, let me pull all this off. It's still mostly damp. It's a little dry right there. And then what I'm going to do is dip this last bit in the soda ash bin right before I take it in for the next step of dyeing it. So, time to dye. Alright, for the dyeing, all I'm going to use is the single color of dark black from Custom Colors. So, everything will be basically the same. There won't be anything on here. And I'm not going to mask anything with cardboard. I'm just going to add the dye and then apply the ice. And we'll see how it turns out. Alright, we'll let this sit until it melts all the way through, and then I'll decide if I'm doing something different on the back. Sorry if this is shaky, I'm hand holding this, but thought I'd give you an idea of what's going on. This has been 5 minutes or so into the ice melt, and as you can see, that's pretty much a solid black. It's not even really separating except for a few little spots because that was already fully saturated. So we go further, this is the fully saturated part as well because both of those sections were dipped in soda ash water right before coming in here. A little bit over here, and then all of this, you can see you've actually got color splitting all up in here. Splitting out. This isn't a solid color, it's all split. And this is what I normally looks like when I do it because this is the damp. And we come over here where it's mostly dry. We've got some bleed over from the damp here back into it, and you've got some splitting going on, and then you just have powder. The only thing that is going to cause that powder to start splitting and running down is the ice that's directly on top. So there's nothing. Normally when I do it when it's damp, you've got water pulling from inside the fabric to pull the dye through, as well as the water on top that's saturating and adding basically water back that is melting, or not melting, that's dripping out to fully saturate the material. That's not going to happen here, and this is going to be a giant black blob. Mostly, there'll be a little bit of color variation, but it's not going to be as much as the separation that we get here. So, I'll let this finish and then we'll take a look. I ended up leaving it the way it was with just the single layer on the one side, and this is what it looks like on the back. So, we'll go ahead and see how this turns out. Alright, let's take a quick look. I'll go put this in the washing machine and then we'll take a final look at it. Here's the results. You have the section in the center. If we fold this over, probably be easier. So we had this strip that was normal and no dye was added. And you have the next section that was the dried section, the damp, and then the completely wet right here. So the results are pretty clear. I mean, I can see it in person. I'm hoping it's showing up well enough on the video. This section where you had the dry area, everything is very dark. There's a dark section around the outer edge that's almost black. It's a very dark blue. And then a purple or darker, like a navy color inside. And then you have the splitting of the rest of the components in the black right here. But everything is very dark. It basically turned into a liquid before it ever began to penetrate the material. Then you have the damp section. And this is a lighter area. The whole thing is lighter. The edges they start out about the same darkness, and then as we get closer to the very wet section, it starts trailing off or tapering off into a lighter color. But the center section is most definitely lighter. You also have more color separation, more splitting of the colors, more splitting up here than you do here. And then you have the section that was completely soaked. this dark area no longer exists on the outer edge. And it's not just here, it's over the entire shirt where you have the darker areas. That simply doesn't exist in this section. You have, I mean, it's darker, but not nearly as almost jet black as you have here. And then these center sections are much more faded or pastel all throughout this. You also have more color separation and splitting all throughout. So if you want a pastel coloring, you'd probably be best to keep the shirt wetter. You could tie everything up and then come down and soak it down, or dip it in the soda ash bucket and then wring it out to get the pastel look. This is the section that I normally dye with. And it's a nice medium between the jet black, very little splitting, and the pastel. Hope that helps, and until next time, thanks for watching.